In that report, today is World Humanitarian Day, an annual reminder of the need to act to alleviate human suffering, according to the UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon. Well, it's also an occasion to honour humanitarian workers and volunteers who are working on the front lines of crises. Well, to discuss this and the issues at World Humanitarian Day raises, I'm joined now from Geneva by James Munn, the Director of the Norwegian Refugee Council. Thank you so much for being with us here on France 24 this afternoon. Today, of course, World Humanitarian Day. What exactly does this mean?
Well, World Humanitarian Day is really a day to commemorate those colleagues that we have had lose their lives, and also to recognise the work that many of our colleagues still do in very dangerous areas around the world. And it's 2016, we see not much change from 2003, except for it's got a lot worse.
Quite. I mean, given the horror that we are seeing in places like Syria, and also one might argue the relative indifference to the plight of migrants and refugees trying to get to Europe, are you optimistic about the impact that World Humanitarian Day might have?
I think what is optimistic is that we see one day a year, at least, we see a change in the public opinion. It's an opportunity for, I think, us all to highlight, including our governments, to highlight the work that our colleagues are doing in very difficult areas. What we don't see necessarily is the political will behind that optimism. And I think that's what we're calling on behalf of the Norwegian Refugee Council and our colleagues, but also the greater humanitarian community, to really see a change in the political landscape, to say these are situations which we can impact upon, so let's do it.
What more can be done to support humanitarian workers in the current climate?
I think if we take Syria as a very clear example in today's environment, that we have a situation where we know governments are supporting armed groups. They're supporting the ongoing airstrikes that we see, not just in Syria, but we see in many countries around the world. We see Central African Republic, we see Yemen, we see problems still existing in northern Nigeria. The political will is what's missing, and we need our governments and we need our citizens to say, let's stop this. Let's stop the support for armed violence that is causing so much dramatic crisis.
If the political will is the problem, would you say it's now time for humanitarian organisations to start becoming more political themselves in order to have a greater impact?
That's an interesting question. I think there's different ways that you can be political. I think us standing up and saying we are independent, we work under a system of neutrality and impartiality, we do not take sides in these conflicts. But at the same time, we are also calling upon our governments to take upon their responsibilities. So I don't think it's that humanitarian organizations aren't political. It's the way in which the political environment responds to our calls.
James Munn, Director of the Norwegian Refugee Council, thank you very much for speaking to France 24 on this World Humanitarian Day. Meanwhile, the fight